Welcome to the Prepared School Psych Podcast. Our mission is to empower assessment professionals with the tools and education they need to effectively advocate for student success. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Ashley Schwenn. Ashley is currently working in private practice as a school neuropsychologist and licensed educational psychologist. She has served in both traditional and non-traditional school psychologist roles in Georgia, Ohio, and California over the past 15 years, and previously served as an adjunct professor for the University of Dayton School Psychology Program. She has extensive experience in school neuropsych assessment and intervention, district-wide systems of support, and local and state association leadership. She is the past president of the Ohio School Psychologist Association and is currently the president of the South Bay Association of School Psychologists and the Region 5 representative to the California Association of School Psychologists. In her free time, which is amazing you have any after I went through that whole list, she enjoys spending time with her husband and 2 daughters, practicing yoga, working out, and walking on the beach. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley.
Thank you, Jenny.
Well, we like to kick off with an important question. What is your favorite TV show that you are watching right now?
So, my favorite TV show that I'm watching right now is actually a show called Love on the Spectrum. I watched it many years ago and recently came back to season 2. And as a practitioner, it's fantastic to watch and to think about these young children who we see,
Mhm.
what they look like in adulthood, and what we can do differently to better support that transition from high school into adulthood.
I love that show. I love the Australian New Zealand version. I love the American version. I cannot wait. I recently saw that they're looking for new people to come in for another season. I love that show so very much.
Yeah,
Well,
fantastic.
as I have mentioned in previous podcast episodes, in California, different regions within the state have affiliates to our larger state association. So, Ashley, what is your role within the affiliate, and how would you describe the association's impact on school psychology in the area?
Sure. So we are with the South Bay Association of School Psychologists, and I am the acting president at this time. I've had the pleasure of a fantastic team consisting of our executive board, Angelica Mayanja is our past president. She's been a fantastic mentor to me. At this point, our primary focus is building back our association. Like many state association affiliates, post COVID, they really took a hit on membership as things just kind of fell apart in the education world during that time. So, right now, we're hosting a lot of socials. We have an upcoming professional development event where we're working to empower school psychologists to strengthen relationships with families, especially in those contentious cases, which in our region in the South Bay, we are a highly litigious area. We have 13 districts that we support in the South Bay. And at this time, we're also working to develop our relationship with our local SELPA director
Mhm.
to further the mission of school psychologists. One of our agenda items coming up is going to be to develop and have adopted a school psychology specific evaluation tool so
Mm,
that school psychologists in the South Bay can be properly evaluated versus just having that teacher evaluation. And another great thing about that is that it really educates administrators on all of the various roles that we should be serving in accordance with the 10 NAS practice domains.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, you've been part of the school psychology field for a number of years. At what point in your journey did you become involved with your affiliate, and what motivated you to take on a leadership role?
That's a great question, and also one of my favorite stories to tell. So, I started in Georgia, went to Georgia State University, practiced there for the first 4 years of my career. Then I made a big jump to go back to Ohio to be closer to family. And in that process, I chose a part-time school psychology role in a very small district, and I was one of two school psychologists. So in Georgia, school districts are set up on the county system.
Hmm.
So I had 10 school psychologists in one district, 20 in another district, and 50 in another district with whom
Wow.
I could easily collaborate, find support, access professional development. And when I made that move to Ohio, the transition was from 20 psychologists to two. I was
Wow.
really struggling to find my community and to find my people and that support. The rules and regulations were different. The PD structure was different, and I really felt like I was on an island.
Hmm.
So I reached out and became a member of my state association. And then I also found my local affiliate, and that was the Southwest Ohio School Psychologists Association. So I went to a meeting and started telling them about myself, and they were a fantastic group of people, really motivated. It was amazing to hear all of the things that were happening in their districts. And I was like, I'm not crazy. The things that I see in my district are actually happening other places. And at the end of that very first meeting, they invited me to be a part of their executive board. So from there, I joined on. I was in charge of the newsletter to start. Usually,
Hmm.
most of the new people on the board get assigned the newsletter.
Yes.
So I did that, and I met a wonderful woman by the name of Caitlin Lang, and she was really my springboard to future leadership. At the time, she was a fellow board member, and at the time, she was our Ohio Association of School Psychologists representative for our affiliate. So she would go to all those board meetings. Then one day, she invited me to be a guest at the OSPA board meeting. And at the end of that board meeting, I ended up applying to become the president of the association.
Oh,
I thought that I was signing up to be a part of the elections and nominations committee, but that was a semantic error on my
oh
part.
no.
So I ran for president and ended up being elected for a 3-year term.
Wow.
So joining the affiliate really allowed me to broaden my professional network. It really became a part of my professional self care. I
Mhm.
learned about myself that I love advocacy. I love supporting other school psychologists. And I'm also very empowered by other psychologists around me who are motivated to do the same thing. And it really rejuvenated my love for the field. It's what keeps me coming back on those tough days to have this kind of an outlet. And so naturally, when it was time to move due to a military permanent change of station here to California, immediately I was looking for that same thing.
Yeah.
So I happened to find a meeting invitation to a Zabasp social. I went, and then Angelica was like, "Be our next president." So here I am.
Incredible, incredible story there.
Yes.
Well, how has being involved in your affiliate, either your current one, your previous work in leadership, really shaped your career as a school psychologist?
Sure. So being in state and local leadership really gives a unique perspective because you have to step outside of your role and think on more broad systemic terms of, okay, what do I need in my district? What do other school psychologists in their districts need? And how can we work together toward that end? And I would say, in terms of my career, it's really strengthened my ability to advocate within my own district. It's helpful to be a part of these local and statewide meetings to hear what's happening in the South Bay, what's what are the needs in our region, what's happening in the state, what are the needs in the state, and how can I do my part at the district level to try to plant those seeds of change and to
Mhm.
advocate for that change. And also being a part Previously, when I was a president of OSPA, I got to sit in the central region meetings for the National Association of School Psychologists. So at that point, I also got to hear what was happening in other states, what was happening in other state in my region and
Mhm.
nationwide, and also was really helpful to bring back down to the district level those things that the National Association was really trying to push. I know when I was in Hermosa Beach, I was able to advocate for a school psychology specific evaluation tool. We did adopt the CASP guidance for the evaluation of school psychologists. And we were also able to get the district to put $500 toward local, state, and national association membership,
Awesome.
all school psychologists in the district. And the other thing that we advocated for was an increase in FTE for school psychologists. So my second year, they hired a point 0.4 school psychologist. And then further advocacy during this past year, they increased that position to point 0.6 FTE.
That's incredible. Well, and
Yeah.
if anyone is interested, you mentioned the school psychologist evaluation tool. We are happy to link that in the show notes, whether you practice in California or another state. I know there are many school psychologists that are being evaluated using teacher standards. So if they want to, take a look at the resource that our state association put together, I'm very happy to put that link in for our show notes. So anyone who's interested in taking a look in that. Well, why do you think being a part of your affiliate is so important to you? And what would you say to someone considering joining their local affiliate?
Sure. So being a part of the local affiliate is really finding your local tribe, your local support network that's not, tainted by any specific district politics or, you really just get to be yourself as a human, yourself as a school psychologist, and being able to establish that broader network. When I need a report shell for X, Y, or Z, I'm texting Angelica. When Angelica's like, "Hey, do you have an extra rating scale?" Those sorts of practical things. It's nice to have that network. Or, "What are you guys using to assess ADHD? Did you move to the new Connors yet? What
Mhm.
are you using to assess executive functioning?" So it's really a great way to facilitate that cross-district communication, and really, I find myself continuing to say the word support. It's a great way to find support, which I know we all need because so many of our students also require a higher level of support. And unless we're supporting ourselves, we are not going to be able to sufficiently service and support our students and families. We've got to take care of ourselves first.
Absolutely. Well, we know being a school psychologist, whether we're working for public schools or working in private practice, is a very time consuming position. How do you make time to volunteer for your affiliate?
Well, I have found multiple different ways to find time for my affiliate, and it has been really a function of the role that I'm serving. So, what I have found is that when I've been a traditional school psychologist, in the school setting, it is a little more challenging to find time. And like most others, whatever is on my calendar tends to get done. So I plan ahead and look at when does the communication need to go out? When do I need to write the email? And I just schedule very short snippets of time, usually at the very end of my workday. Because if
Mm,
I start my workday doing my advocacy, sometimes I'm not motivated to switch back to the district work. So I like to make that shift to do that work later in the afternoon at the end of my day for a few reasons. One, it requires less cognitive energy, and two, it helps me to leave the office feeling really empowered that
mm.
day, because that type of work really fills my cup.
I love that. Well, I know one of the things that your affiliate is able to do is provide professional development, different workshops for your members. So, how does your affiliate determine which workshop topics your members are most interested in?
So we put out a survey every year to our members, and we also have it as a question on the membership form. What professional development are you needing? We'll give some examples and based on, kind of the buzz that we're hearing. So, we're always including things for behavioral and mental health, MTSS. A big one here in California is bilingual assessment.
Yeah.
And then we leave that other box open for general ideas of, what kind of support do you need? So we do regularly take that litmus test of what our individuals need, our members need. And then there's that practical side of based on that feedback, is someone available? And in the time frame, we're looking to have that professional development.
Yes.
Now, one of the biggest things that's been really helpful since coming on board as the SABAS president is paying attention at state and local conferences to presenters and presentations that I felt really spoke to me as a
Mm,
South Bay based school psychologist based on the needs that I've heard and the needs that I was experiencing in my own district. And so that is definitely what led to us getting Miss Jan Carrier to present up in January on how do you work with those contentious cases and those
mm.
contentious families.
Well, that sounds like a really awesome topic. Are there any other trainings in 2025 that you'd like to highlight?
We are also going to be hosting a bilingual assessment training, and that likely will be scheduled in the fall.
That is incredible. Well, reflecting back to when you were a first year school psychologist, what advice would you give to someone starting in the field?
That is a really great question. So, for anyone starting in the field, I was actually talking about this a few weeks ago with someone from the Alumni Association at my undergraduate university. What are the skills that I wish I would have had? I will say, first and foremost, I wish I would have had more effective work life boundaries.
Mm,
As school psychologists, something most of us do in the first year, a part of that is professionally developmental. However, is this idea of I have to write my reports at home because there's no time during the day.
yeah.
And that is a skill that grows. But as much as you can, setting firm boundaries of working your contractual hours. And one of the things that I put in place for myself was one of the limits was if I'm not finished at the end of the day with what is due tomorrow, then I will stay longer.
Mm,
And that's how I had that rule. And that's how I was able to hold my own self accountable to keeping that work life balance. Another thing is just taking care of yourself.
yeah.
Do your yoga classes, do your running, go to a restaurant or coffee with a friend, whatever you need to fulfill your own self care is
Hmm.
extremely important so that you don't burn out because shortages are real. They're extreme. Students
Yes.
are needing us more and more. And so we need to do everything we can to empower and take care of ourselves.
I love that. Well, as a follow up, if a person wanted to be a leader within their local affiliate, what advice would you give them?
I would encourage them to reach out, go to a board meeting, give the president or another executive board member a phone call. A lot of affiliates these days have Instagram, Facebook, other social media channels.
Yeah.
Follow them, reach out that way. And really, whatever way you're comfortable reaching out in person, email, over social media, reach out to make that first contact and have some courage. Go to that event, even if you don't think you know it, might know anyone. And better yet, bring a friend. That way you have a built in support in case it's just too awkward.
I love that. I love that advice.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share or promote about your affiliate at this time?
I would say that the South Bay Association of School Psychologists is a very warm, friendly, and welcoming group. We all support each other, and we've been able to collaborate and work together to continue to solidify our organization. And we also are also always just looking for ways to have fun.
Well, this podcast is called The Prepared School Psychologist. When you think of the term prepared, What does your affiliate do to help psychologists feel more prepared in their roles?
Sure. So, one of the things that we do and started implementing since I took over as president is periodic emails out to membership. So, we'll let them know when the upcoming professional development events are, any new resources from NAS, when the next CAS conference is. And we really work to promote our profession within the South Bay,
Mhm.
always asking, come be a member. Yeah, so we really work to foster that regular communication just to stay present and to demonstrate the why behind why do I become a member? Well, as a benefit, you get all of these resources, and we're going to help you stay up to date if you don't have time to do that on your own.
That's incredible. Well, I want to thank you for your time today and for being on the podcast and for sharing with all of our listeners all of your wonderful stories and all of your advice. So, thank you so much, Ashley.
Yes, thank you so much, Jenny. It's really an honor to be here. I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of the show, and thank you so much for your time.
All right. Well, we hope you found today's episode of the Prepared School Psych podcast informative. Remember, your expertise plays a vital role in advocating for student achievement and growth. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more school psychologists like you. Thank you for listening and have a great day. That concludes another episode of the Prepared School Psych podcast. And I hope today's discussion equipped you not just with knowledge, but also the confidence to take action. Remember, every conversation we have and every resource we share builds a bridge towards a more inclusive and empowering learning landscape for our students. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more insightful conversations and resources to support your journey. Share this podcast with colleagues. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Just a reminder, everyone, the information and advice provided in this podcast are for guidance purposes only, and all listeners are required to follow both federal and state law and their own school district guidelines and policies. Thank you.